What's up guys, Mike here, back with another video. Now, you clicked on the video so you already know what we're talking about. 5 NFL players facing a make or break 2017 season. Before we get into this, some honorable mentions include Eddie Lacy, Carlos Hyde, Eric Armstead, and Darqueze Dennard. So let's get into it.
Number 1, Blake Bortles. If you look at Bortles' stats in a vacuum, he looks like a potential franchise quarterback. However, we all know stats can be easily misleading, and that is definitely the case here. A large portion of Bortles' production comes from blowouts and garbage time. The truth is, he's bad. He's really bad. While we all know now that Derek Carr has become one of the best young QBs in the league after the 2014 draft, Bortles looks more like a player that could find himself out of the league at worst, but in all likelihood demoted to a career backup if this 2017 season is more of the same. What makes Bortles more shocking is the fact that Derek Carr was taken 36th in the 2014 draft. Teddy Bridgewater was taken 32nd. Bortles was taken 3rd and immediately assumed to be a reach and a potential bust. While yes, he's proven better than if the Jags took a certain other QB, still, QBs taken after him have proven in limited playing time to be better than Blake Bortles. The Jags threw him a bone by keeping Doug Marrone on staff as head coach, but this is truly his last chance. The Jags are ready for a playoff push at every position except for quarterback. If they finish in the top 5 for the 2018 draft with the QB class looking the way it does, Bortles can watch as his hometown team replaces him. Number 2, Kevin White. From the 2014 class, we go to the 2015 class. After 2014, everyone wanted to try to compare that class to the wideouts they had the year before. Amari Cooper, Devontae Parker, Nelson Aguilar, Brashad Perriman, DGB, and of course Kevin White, to the 2014 class of OBJ, Watkins, Evans, Cooks, and Kelvin. White, after being a JUCO transfer and coming off a breakout year, had all the markings of the next great wideout in the league. Many thought White was better than Cooper, which is what made the battle more intriguing going into draft night. Cooper was taken 3 picks earlier than White, but it still looked like both teams came away big winners. Unfortunately, once they got to the NFL, their careers could not be more different. White missed his entire rookie year, then last year only had 19 catches for 187 yards and 0 TDs in another injury-plagued season, only playing 4 games. On the other hand, Cooper has had 2 straight 1,000-yard seasons and has been on a Raiders team that looks to be on the doorstep, while the Bears, not so much. Now that's not entirely White's fault. He's not to blame for the fact that the front office has been awful.
One more injury could spell the end of White. There's an old saying that the best ability is your availability, and that stands to reason here. It's a shame because he had so much potential going into the league, but he's yet to be able to capture it because he hasn't been able to stay on the field.
Number 3, Eric Flowers.
While yes, a left tackle is not exactly the sexiest pick, Flowers was a whole new level of just flat out awful last year. He started off the first 3 games playing pretty well, playing very well in fact. But according to Pro Football Focus, he finished the last 13 games allowing 54 pressures and having 10 penalties called against him. That's bad. That's really fucking bad. In fairness, the right tackle for the Giants, Bobby Hart, was equally bad, having very similar numbers to Eric Flowers, but Hart was a late round pick. Flowers was the 10th overall pick. Selecting Bisnawadi out of Pitt at pick 200, it's not great. It's really not great if that's your only offensive line pick and you get him late day 3, but he might still be able to beat out Eric Flowers for that left tackle job. If he is beaten out by Bisnawadi, Flowers could easily see his time at left tackle, right tackle, and potentially the NFL go out the window.
Number 4, Jared Goff.
It really pains me to say this, being a diehard Cal Golden Bears fan, having driven the Goff hype train so hard in 2016, having him as my number 1 overall quarterback, definitely being an advocate of him going number 1 overall to the Rams, and he was a top 5 player on my board, but to say the least, Goff was definitely not good in his rookie year.
Now that's not to say that Goff has been a bust. He's only played 8 games after all, and he had this guy as his head coach. Jeff Fisher actually thought that Danny Woodhead was still a Patriot. The offense was a train wreck. Just ask his own running back, Todd Gurley, who described it as middle school level. The Rams made it obvious after drafting Tyler Higbee, Pharoh Cooper, and Mike Thomas last year. Les Snead followed that up this year by drafting more of the same. Weapons for Goff: Gerald Everett, Cooper Kupp, and Josh Reynolds. Now, some may think, why would they do that? Well, it's been reported that Jeff Fisher called the shots at the draft room, so now Les Snead is finally in charge and was bringing in his own guys. Also, this sends a message to Goff that it's now up to him, and much like Bortles, the draft next year is stacked with potential replacements.
One thing I truly don't get is this blaming of Goff for everything that happened in LA last year. And that's not just me being a Cal Golden Bears fan. I really do mean that I have seen everything blamed on Jared Goff. Well, he couldn't grasp the offense in time, and he only played 8 games because of it. He couldn't beat out Case Keenum for the job. He was not worth the picks that they traded for him. The offense was terrible because of him. The offense was one of the worst ever, and it's all because of Goff. If you actually look at that roster, where the fuck was his help? Alright? This is not me being a Cal Golden Bears fan. This is just me being reasonable and logical. If you have no offensive line, with all-time draft bust at left tackle Greg Robinson as your, at the helm, with a running back that can't get any holes, no receiving weapons, and Jeff Fisher, Mr. Genius himself, as your head coach, how were you at all set up for success? I think that a lot of people just really didn't want to see Goff as the number 1 overall pick, so the moment that he failed, a lot of people started already calling for the door. Most people wanted to see Carson Wentz go number 1 overall. It was a better story. The kid from North Dakota State, not from a high-profile program, the fact that he was coming from a lower-tier school that was a powerhouse at the FCS level, rather than some dumpster fire team in the Pac-12, it made for a better story. And the fact that people talk about how much of a better season Wentz had. Well, Wentz didn't have a lot of weapons around him either, but he also had a coach that knew what the fuck he was doing. He had a decent enough running game, despite the fact Ryan Matthews is terrible, and he had some weapons to throw to. Goff had nothing. And look where Wentz ended up. They started off 3-0, but they still missed the playoffs. It's not like Wentz had an astronomically better year. This year, he's still going to have a better year. Why? Because unlike the Rams are going on the idea of youth, and eventually those guys can hopefully gel with Goff and create something. Philly brought in proven talent with Alshon and Torrey Smith, and surrounding a young quarterback with proven commodities. And Goff is still fucked. So, if anything, I just wanted to get this out of the way, that the idea that Jared Goff is entirely to blame for the Rams and is already a bust despite having only played 8 games, that take needs to die. You can't judge someone based off of 1 year. You can't judge someone based off of 8 games. Hell, look, as I said, Eagles started off 3-0. Wentz was apparently going to be the future. How'd we finish? We finished 7-9, 8-8. Yeah. Maybe we should actually wait till these guys have played a couple of seasons and then judge from there. That being said, moving on.
Number 5, Laquon Treadwell. What happened to Laquon Treadwell? Once considered a potential star at the NFL level, he barely got on the field in his rookie year. Many were skeptical after the horrific leg injury he had in college, but the thought was that with his rookie season being 2 years removed, his explosion he showed would finally be back. He was drafted behind Corey Coleman, a speed demon who couldn't run routes, Will Fuller, a vertical weapon with feet for hands, and Josh Dotson, who only caught 2 passes last year. The other guys had reasons for why their seasons were down. Fuller was in a good receiving core in Houston, and Dotson and Coleman fought injuries. Treadwell just wasn't used. His biggest competition was Stephon Diggs, but in the end, Jarius Wright and Adam Thielen beat him out for playing time. Doesn't get any easier this year. Rodney Adams may or may not make the roster, but Bucky Hodges is a similar playstyle to Treadwell, a big-bodied target, but Hodges is more athletic, has 35 pounds on him, and is 5 inches taller. Treadwell may have to fight for his roster spot.
So there you have it, guys. 5 players facing make or break 2017 seasons. Any players that you guys think should join this group? Leave them down below. As always, if you guys have another video idea, leave that down below as well. If you're new to the channel, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. I try to put out content as often as I can. Yeah, as always, like, comment, subscribe. Tell a friend to tell another friend, and I'll see you guys later.